Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and today we're going to look at Pikesville Straight Rye Whiskey. Now, this is whiskey number 3 that I just got done purchasing here while I was out and about picking up Christmas gifts for everybody. Caught my eye. Now, I don't really know much of anything about Pikesville. I'm sure if I read a little something on here, I could probably learn a fair bit. Extra aged, once again, I don't know what extra aged is, but on here it does have an age statement. It says this whiskey is aged at least 6 years, so there might be some a little bit older in there, probably depending on the barrel. It is distilled and bottled by Heaven Hill in Bardstown, Kentucky, so that's something good to know. And it's also hitting pretty high here. It's 110 proof, 55% ABV. So I did these reviews in this batch shoot in order of proof. So we started with the Jack Daniel's Straight Rye, that was 90 proof. Then we went with the Wild Turkey Straight Rye 101, which was 101 proof. And now we're up to 110 proof. And then on here, it does say that it is the San Francisco World Spirits Competition 2015 Double Gold Judges unanimously. Boy, I'm struggling with that one. Agree. Let's see, what does it say? Rye of the Year, number 2 World Whiskey of the Year. Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible 2016. So, apparently people think it's something. The bottle's kind of cool. If you can see, can you see that from here? So it has a flat side on it where the label is. I don't know, can you see that? So it's like a half round flat side. Kind of a cool bottle. I always appreciate small things like that. Yeah, we'll open her up, see that's all I know about it. So Pikesville. Let's see. One last thing. Let's take a look real quick. See what I purchased this for here in town. Now, I bought this at one of the liquor stores that tends to be a little bit more expensive. So, not the cheapest rye out there. $55.99 here locally. However, it is a high proof rye, at 110. You're kind of getting something reasonable in the bottle, as far as proof goes, if that's what you're looking for. Here we go. I have no experience with this. I have no clue what we're about to get out of this. We'll experience it together. Now, originally, I got, like a, boy, what would you describe that as? So in my mind, as a child, we had a Swiss colony store. Hopefully some of you are familiar with that. If you grew up in the Midwest, you've probably heard of it before. And they were only open for like a few weeks around Christmas time. And they had lots of chocolatey kind of candies and baked goods and like Yule logs and and cheese logs and stuff like that. It smelled the first time I stuck my nose in there, I got just a waft of what it was like walking into that. It was like a giant warehouse that they had all this stuff in it. If you've ever had that experience, you probably know what I was catching out of that glass. It's a very distinct smell and very unique to that experience. So if you haven't experienced that, you have no idea what I'm talking about and probably think I'm nuts. But I got that mixed with a little bit of black licorice. But the black licorice candies that you can buy at the Swiss colony, where they were little squares or rectangles that had a hard candy coat on them, and they were like, what do you call that color? Drawing a blank. So I'm trying not to have too much dead airspace here, but they were, what do you call that? Like a muted color palette. So they had pink and blue, like robin egg blue, baby blue, sky blue. I don't know what you want to call it. They had pink, Pastel. Sorry, that's had a very pastel color palette on these candies. But they were a black licorice with a hard candy shell on them. I was never a fan of them, but that's the smell I got originally. Now I got some brown sugar. Once again, just like the wild turkey, the proof is not jumping out of the glass. Maybe if we warm it up a little bit here. But again, very floral, typical MGP style nose on the palate. A bit more sweet in there. A little bit more brown sugar and honey. But a very floral, dense floral note. Graham cracker. And it all kind of is depending on where in the glass I'm smelling it, whether the top, the bottom, left nostril, right nostril. But okay, now as it's warming up a little bit in my hand, the proof is coming out. But very floral, very graham cracker. Very nice. A little bit of red apple fruit in there. Okay, nose is pretty pleasant, not unfamiliar, very classic MGP rye, but very pleasant. Okay, let's see how this proof hits us here. Wow. Okay, proof does not really show up at all till almost the very end. And even with that, if I hadn't done a little bit of a Kentucky chew, and it kind of came up into my nasal cavity and went a little retro nasal on me. If that had not happened, as far as proof goes, you would have no idea how high of a proof this is. This definitely drinks really, really light on the palate as far as proof. I would put this at 90 or below as far as how it feels. Super, super syrupy, hard candy sweet, forward all the way through the mid palate. Picked up some graham cracker. The rye spice picks up after that graham cracker, and then it just kind of drops off your tongue a little bit. A little bit of a creamy mouthfeel to it. It's not very clingy. It's not super viscous, although it does have a slight syrupy feel in the beginning. Yeah, we're gonna have to go in again. There was just a lot going on there. A lot of sweet notes, a lot of creamy notes. It was very pleasant, very easy drinking. The proof did not show up very much at all. The nose hasn't changed at all. Let's go in again real quick. Yeah, very bourbon-esque. Sweet forward, sugary, brown sugar. There was some kind of like dessert in there, like a bready, sweet dessert, just for a small second in there. Trying to think, some kind of like sweet bread drizzled with a vanilla icing of some sort, just for a minute. A heavy cherry presence in there this time, mixed going into that floral component. Get a little bit of black licorice in there. On the second sip, the rye spice shows up on the finish. The ethanol was gone on that completely, so there was no ethanol ding. I get a black pepper rye, so it's two distinct things. You get a rye grain spice, and then as that starts to fade, you get a distinct black pepper with a hard, sweet candy finish underlaying that. Man, very, very good. Very, very creamy. A whole lot going on in that glass. So because this is such a high proof, it gives us a lot of leeway. I'm going to take and knock it down just a smidge, just to see what that does. I know I don't typically, proof things down or do stuff like that, but even though it's not showing up in the nose or really on the palate at all, the proof gives you a lot of leeway to be able to play with this one, so I'm curious now. Ooh, it changed the nose. It brought the ethanol forward a bit, even though it's still pretty floral. There is some kind of a fruit in the background, like a pear, like an overripe pear almost, mixed with graham cracker and that. So I'm talking, so like that floral is like 97% of the nose, and then in the very back you get this graham cracker, this really sweet pear fruit, a little bit of grain dust in there. Let's see what it does on the palate. Brought the rye spice forward to the front of the palate. Heavy graham crackers, so a lot of honey, a lot of grain. It really jumped up the rye spice component, not the ethanol, but the rye spice kind of was there start to finish, mixed with a little bit of black pepper. But there was a lot of syrupy, sweet, hard candy notes, just a hard, sugary sweetness. Graham cracker. Man, a lot going on with that. You know what? We're going to drop her down even further, see what else happens. Let's see here. Let's do another. I did 3 drops before. We'll do another 3 drops, even though we have less in the glass here. This isn't. So if you haven't ever done this, highly encourage you, go out, get higher proof whiskey, so barrel proof, cask strength, anything above 105, 110. A lot of whiskey, so bourbon in particular, as the rules from the TTB state, you cannot have a barrel entry proof higher than 125 proof. Now, if you put something in the barrel at that proof, you're going to draw out a lot of those astringent, more heavy oak notes. The lower the proof, the sweeter the whiskey notes become that they're pulling out of the wood. So you're going to get a lot of the brown sugars, the vanillas, the caramels at that 100 to 110, maybe 112, somewhere in there. And then in that mid-teen to low 20 proof, so like 115 to 120, you're going to pull out kind of a nice combination of both of those. So as a rule of thumb, most whiskeys kind of tend to sit at barrel entry in that mid-teen range, so you get a nice mix of tannins and sugars out of that oak. As such, depending on the climate, so now in Kentucky, it's kind of humid in the summer. Your barrel proof doesn't tend to go up too much. In fact, it might even drop a little bit depending on the humidity on the year. As it ages, if you're in a really dry climate, that water evaporates out and your barrel proof will go up. So Texas, here in Wyoming, you might go in at like in the teens and come out maybe in the 130 range, something like that. If you find whiskeys in those higher proof categories, it gives you a ton of room to be able to proof it down yourself as you're drinking it, or put it on the rocks, or drink a whiskey and water, something like that, which will really allow you to experience and explore that whiskey to its greatest potential, and find that flavor profile that you personally really, really enjoy. I do not do a ton of that on camera. Whoa. That was pure vanilla brown sugar on the nose, a little bit of honey graham cracker together, but I mean mostly brown sugar, vanilla. Oh man, caramel. It just went super sweet. It went all bourbon in the nose all of a sudden with that extra little bit of water in there. Very, very pleasant. Gosh, I'm almost starting to pick up a little bit of peanut dust in there. Let's go in on that sip. Oh, delicious. Super sweet notes, very bourbony, very brown sugar, vanilla. You get a little bit of oak tannin in the middle, and a lot of sweet oak notes. And then in like the middle of the mid palate, it picks up with that rye spice, a very distinguished grain rye flavor characteristic. The spice is all rye spice, no black pepper. On the finish, you get just a touch of ethanol, I mean the slightest touch, and then this hard candy cherry sweet finish along with that rye peppers, or that rye spice, not pepper. That, whatever I just proofed this down to, is probably where I would live at in this bottle. And if I had to guess, so I did 3, drank, and then 3 again, I would say that this is probably ringing in close to 98 proof, somewhere in there. So go ahead, give that a try. Pick up a bottle of this Pikesville. It was excellent to start with at 110, but as I proofed it down and lived with it a little bit more, it got more and more intensely sweet, but in all the right ways, along with the very distinguished rye pepper, or the rye spice. I keep saying pepper, not pepper, rye spice. Sorry, my water heater just kicked on, so you'll probably hear that in the background. That gives me a good reason to end this video right there. As I said, a little bit more expensive here in town, $55.99. Worth every penny at that price. A lot you can do with this. Very much appreciate this bottle and have a lot of plans for what I'm going to do with it. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. Drop in the comments down below what you can find a bottle of Pikesville for in your area, along with what your experience with Pikesville is. If you haven't already, please check out LifeandWhiskey on Rumble, Bitchute, Minds, and YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. And as always, feel free to share this video out with anybody who you think might get a little bit of benefit from this. I appreciate everybody who has followed the channel and who has participated and commented on the videos. As always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I do greatly appreciate all of you being here and watching this content, and we'll catch you in the next video.